Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to our Karthik month special for another morning of Harikatha. Family relations are usually very, very affectionate, especially when there is a newborn in the household. There is a lot of love and affection showered on that newborn. So Krishna has been transported to Golok, or rather Gokul, and generally in a normal material sense of the world, especially the uncle will shower a lot of love and affection on his nephew. But somehow or the other, Kamsa managed to do it, but without that love and affection for his nephew Krishna. So what is one way in which you shower your love and affection on a newborn? You start buying them things, toys. So that's what Kamsa did. He sent his first toy called Putana. Krishna was not happy with this toy at all. So he breaks that toy up. Now Kamsa is going to send toy after toy after toy. And Krishna is going to toy with them and kill them, telling his uncle, I'm not satisfied with what you're sending me my way. And so the pastimes continue. So after hearing about the death of Putana, Parikshit Maharaj said, everything that you have told me about the pastimes of the Lord, it is just so pleasing to hear. It's not only pleasing for the ears, it is so pleasing for the mind. And Parikshit is telling Shukadeva Goswami, anyone who hears these activities, immediately whatever dirty things are there in their mind will vanish. So, but the childhood pastimes of the Lord are so attractive that they attract anyone. So that all of us should be attached to this hearing process. So if we hear about the Lord, the more we hear about him, the more we are attracted to him. And the more we are drawn to serve him and his devotees. So this is how we actually develop love for the Supreme Lord, attachment for him. And when we get attached to the Lord, we also develop lovely friendship with all of the Lord's other devotees. So sadhu sangha is also an extension of practicing Krishna consciousness. And like this, Parikshit Maharaj is telling Shukadeva Goswami, if you think I am fit to hear more, can you describe other pastimes of the Lord? And then Shukadeva Goswami is so pleased to hear that a devotee is asking to hear more. A spiritual master is very pleased when the disciple asks to hear more and asks questions. So Krishna was 3 months old. And generally at this age, at the time when the child is around 3 months, the child will try to flip over from the back onto their tummy. It is said that this particular movement of the child is so auspicious that it is observed by performing a special Vedic ceremony. That ceremony is called the Uttana, meaning the child is now trying to get up by first turning over onto its stomach. And it also signifies that the child can be taken out of the house for the first time. So Mother Yashoda wanted to observe this particular ceremony because her child had flipped over onto his stomach. And so she bathes him very nicely. And this ceremony is celebrated by a whole lot of other women in the neighborhood. On that day of the ceremony, it was the Rohini Nakshatra. And the Brahmanas had been invited to chant lovely Vedic hymns. Musicians were playing nice music. And this ceremony was going on. So after Krishna was bathed very nicely, and Mother Yashoda honors all of the Brahmanas by giving them lots of nice things in charity, by serving them nice prasadam. So, and the ceremony continued. Suddenly, she hears Krishna crying, wanting to drink milk. And he was very angry. And normally when children are angry or agitated, when infants are angry or agitated, they will start moving their hands around, they will start kicking their legs around. And that's what Krishna did. He started kicking his arms and legs in anger, demanding the attention of his mother. And what had Mother Yashoda done? The ceremony got so busy and her child was so sleepy. She put him to sleep. And since the ceremony was held in the courtyard, there was a little cart on which they had stacked up a lot of metal vessels. And under the cart, she had created a small cradle and put Krishna in this cart, thinking, let him sleep peacefully while the adults take care of all of the other aspects of the ceremony. But Krishna, normally when children are put to sleep, suddenly they awake, and when they are awake and they don't see their mom, they will start crying. And that's exactly what Krishna did. He starts crying. And Shukadev Goswami says, although the lotus feet of the Lord are as soft as flower petals or leaves, when he kicked his legs, this Shakata Ashura, actually the cart is called Shakata. The Shakata just collapses all around him. And luckily nothing fell on top of Krishna. So the wheels are separated from the axle and everything fell apart. All the vessels were scattering here and there, making a loud noise. And all the Vraja gopis are just shocked when they hear this sound of vessels just rolling all over the place. And they were all wondering, how did this happen? How did the cart actually collapse on its own? And very quickly, Mother Yashoda, fearful that another demon had come to attack her child, just 3 months after a demon called Putana had come, she was certainly very worried. So she ran over to baby Krishna and picks him up. And as the cowherd men are discussing, what happened? Is this another demon? Or is this an influence of an evil planet? And they ask the children, did you see what happened? And the little children say, yes, Krishna actually kicked the cart. And that is how the whole cart collapsed. So children are very, very innocent. And if they are asked a question, they are going to speak the truth, especially if they are 5 years or younger. That's what the Shastras say, that any child under the age of 5 will always speak the truth. After that, they learn how to play games with the truth. So the gopis and the gopas, not being aware that this was the Supreme Lord, they absolutely did not believe the children when the children said Krishna had kicked the cart. And that is how it collapsed. They thought these are just little children speaking some childish talk, and they dismissed it. So they strongly believed that there was an influence of the bad planet. So one more ceremony happens now. Now they are worried another demon has come or some Ashubh time is going on for baby Krishna. So one more ceremony is performed. So this time, Nanda Maharaj, he picks up Krishna on his lap, invites the Brahmanas, and as they are chanting all of the Vedic hymns, Nanda Maharaj bathes Krishna once again. So he mixes water with all kinds of nice pure herbs and scents. And as the fire ceremony is being performed to get rid of the demoniac influence on Krishna, he bathes Krishna, and after the ceremony, he again feeds the Brahmanas and gives away a lot of things in charity. So everybody was concerned about the well-being of Krishna. It was not just Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. Every Brajavasi had so much love and affection for Krishna. If anything at all happened to him, they were in deep distress. So after this ceremony was concluded, one day, Mother Yashoda was actually holding Krishna on her lap and playing with him. So Krishna would have been maybe 5 or 6 months old. He was sitting up, and suddenly she feels Krishna become very, very heavy. Now, how can a child simply grow in weight all of a sudden? But he became so heavy, she was forced to just move him off her lap and put him on the floor before her because she could not tolerate his weight. And Shukadev Goswami says, the Lord felt as heavy as the entire universe. And immediately Mother Yashoda becomes anxious again. She thinks, has another ghost or demon come? And Mother Yashoda begins to worship Narayana. She is intensely praying to Narayana that whatever force this is that has come again to disturb her son, that force should be subdued. So you can see that Mother Yashoda does not know that the child is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She could not understand that Krishna was the source of everything. Pretty soon there will be a particular ceremony that happens where both Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini will be told that Krishna and Balaram are the Supreme Personalities of Godhead. Even after being informed of the position of Krishna and Balaram, they still forget it. So as Krishna was sitting on the floor, sure enough, Kamsa's second toy called Trinavarta comes there. So Kamsa is sending all these demons across the country that he rules to find newborn children and kill them. So this Trinavarta is called the whirlwind demon. And Krishna becomes light as a feather. He had become very heavy for his mother, so she puts him down. Now Krishna becomes very light as a feather, so Trinavarta is able to pick up Krishna like as if he was just a feather, a bird's feather. And because he was the whirlwind demon, there was dust. There was a big dust storm that came and covered the whole of Gokul. Nobody could see anything. It became dark. There was this sound of the wind just kicking up sand from the ground. So everything was covered. People had to close their eyes because the dust was getting into their eyes. They couldn't see anything. They became greatly disturbed. And Mother Yashoda is frantic. She had just placed Krishna on the ground in front of her. He just seemed to have disappeared into thin air. And she goes searching for her son. She cannot see much because of the dust clouds. And when she cannot find him, she falls down like a cow that had lost its calf. And she begins to lament and cry out for Krishna. So meantime, the gopis have surrounded Mother Yashoda, trying to console her, telling her, don't worry, Krishna will come back. But at the same time, they were also deeply disturbed. So they also started crying because they couldn't bear the thought of being separated from Krishna. So Trinavarta took Krishna high into the sky. And now Krishna becomes heavier than the demon. So heavy that the demon was trying to dislodge Krishna, but Krishna has wrapped his chubby little arms around the neck of Trinavarta preventing him from breathing. Trinavarta was amazed. What is the power that this little baby has that I'm not able to dislodge the child? And he was thinking, this child is such a wonderful child. So he was taking darshan of Krishna. He was so fortunate. The Lord was hugging him tightly around the neck. How fortunate is Trinavarta? So fortunate that he choked. He was unable to make a sound. He was unable to do anything. He was just paralyzed. He was in the sky, paralyzed. And when his life airs left him, he just fell down to the ground with a huge sound. And he falls on a big slab of stone. His limbs were just broken all over the places. And Shukadev Goswami says that his limbs got dislocated as if he had been pierced by the arrow of Lord Shiva, like Tripurasura. And since Mother Yashoda was unconscious and the demon had fallen down, the gopis were just shocked. Once again, Krishna was saved. He was just lying on the chest of the demon as if nothing had happened. He was just a little tiny little baby, looking all very innocent and lost. So immediately the gopis pick him up and take him to Mother Yashoda. The child was not hurt at all. And the gopis thought, what great fortune. Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd boys think, we must have done some very, very pious things in our past lives. That is why our son is protected today. This innocent child being attacked by demons, only Narayana is saving him time and time again. We must have done some very nice pious activities in our previous lives. That's how Nanda Maharaj is thinking. Had we not done those pious activities, would we have our child today? Because he is facing death every single moment. They don't realize that the Lord himself is death, the symbol of death. So Nanda Maharaj was very, very happy. And he was thinking about the words that he had heard from the lips of Vasudev when Vasudev said, please go back to Gokul. I fear there will be disturbances. So he was thinking like that. Yes, so Vasudev's words are coming true. There are so many disturbances coming, but somehow or the other, my son is being protected. So like this, one day, Mother Yashoda was feeding Krishna her milk, and Krishna was feeling sleepy. He was satisfied, and he opens his mouth wide to yawn, stretching his arms up over his head, stretching his body, opening his mouth wide to yawn. And when Mother Yashoda saw his mouth, she sees the entire cosmos inside her baby's mouth. She sees the skies, she sees the planetary system, she sees the earth, she sees the 12 directions, she sees the sun, the moon, the fire, the seas, the mountains, the islands, the rivers, the forests. She sees moving things, she sees non-moving things, all inside this tiny little mouth that had opened to yawn. And her heart begins to beat fast. And she thinks she's imagining something, and she just closes her eyes. By the time she closes her eyes and opens her eyes again, Krishna has closed his mouth. So she's not sure whether what she had seen was actually real or not, or was she imagining things. So now what happens is, meantime, Vasudeva is thinking, my children are growing up, naming ceremony has to happen. So Vasudeva calls for Garga Muni, Yadu dynasty's chief priest, and he requests him to go over to Gokul so that naming ceremony can be done for Krishna and Balaram. So he arrives at the residence of Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Maharaj was pleasantly surprised because he was not expecting Garga Muni to come there. So he receives him very nicely as a guest and makes him have a comfortable seat. And he asks Garga Muni, it's my great fortune that you are here. My duty is to serve you. So please tell me, actually the proper words that are used is kindly order me. What can I do for you? So when a great personality comes, you don't say, kindly tell me what to do, how I can serve you. The words you have to use is kindly order me, because it has to come as an instruction. So an instruction is different than a request, right? So when you meet senior devotees, and if you're anxious for seva, the words you use is kindly order me, because that also suggests that you are submissive and you're ready to be obedient, which is what Nanda Maharaj told Garga Muni. It's my great fortune that you have arrived in my residence. Kindly order me. What can I do for you? And Nanda Maharaj glorifies Garga Muni like this. He says, great Mahatmas like you, they travel from place to place and benedict Grahasthas like us. And you have so much knowledge that you can share with us. So that's the good fortune of having a great personality invited to your residence, or who comes to your residence without being asked. Atiti, that is why the word is used, atiti, means an untimely arrival, a guest. So like this, he implores Garga Muni to instruct him and order him. And Garga Muni tells Nanda Maharaj, do you know, I am the chief priest of the Yadu dynasty. Everybody knows this on this planet. I have actually come because Vasudeva has sent me. Meantime, Nanda Maharaj has already asked Garga Muni, since you are here, it would be so nice if you perform the naming ceremony of both my sons. It would be such an auspicious thing. It would be such an honorable thing for our family. To which Garga Muni says, everybody knows I am the chief priest of the Yadu dynasty. If Kamsa finds out that I am here, that I have performed a naming ceremony, certainly he will become very suspicious. He will know that there must be a good reason why the Yadu dynasty's chief priest has come all the way to Gokul to perform naming ceremony. So therefore, Nanda Maharaj says, I have heard you. So let us perform this ceremony in the Goshala. We will do it very quietly. It'll be a small family affair. Therefore, they go into the Goshala, and it is only Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, and Mother Rohini, along with their two babies, Krishna and Balaram. So at this point, although this particular pastime is not there in the Srimad Bhagavatam specifically, I have heard this pastime from other senior Vaishnavas, that Krishna decides that they will try and check whether Garga Muni really knows who's who. So Krishna decides to sit on the lap of Mother Rohini, and Balaram sits on the lap of Mother Yashoda. They wanted to know if Garga Muni could figure out who was who. So Gargamuni begins to speak. He looks at Balaram, the older child, sitting on the lap of Mother Yashoda, and he says, this child, the son of Rohini, he will give all happiness to all his friends and relatives because of his transcendental qualities. So, therefore, he will be known as Rama. Rama means someone who brings a great deal of pleasure to others. And because he will show his extraordinary strength, he will be known as Bala. Therefore, the name Balarama. But Vaishnavas understand this Bala to mean that the Lord, as Lord Balaram, gives you the spiritual strength to continue on the path of bhakti. So that strength is not limited to just the physical strength of the Supreme Lord, but rather if we take shelter of Lord Balaram, he will give us the spiritual strength and determination that is needed to continue on the path of bhakti. And lastly, Gargamuni says, because he's united two families, Vasudev's family and the family of Nanda Maharaj. Vasudev and Nanda Maharaj are actually like half brothers. Because he's brought these two families together, he will be known as Sankarshana. So Gargamuni has named the older child first, even though the child was seated on Mother Yashoda's lap. Now he turns to Krishna. So he turns to Mother Rohini and tells Mother Yashoda, your son Krishna has appeared as an incarnation. Actually, he comes every millennium. Every millennium means every one day of Brahma, which is 1000 Chaturyugas, is called 1 millennium. And Gargamuni is telling Nanda Maharaj, Mother Rohini, and Mother Yashoda that Krishna has come in different colors in different yugas. In the Satya Yuga, he came in a white color. In Treta Yuga, he came in a red color. In Dwapar Yuga, he came in a yellow color. And now he is appearing in a blackish color. And Prabhupada writes in this particular shloka that in another Dwapar Yuga, that he, sometimes the Lord will come in different yugas. Sometimes it's always the same. Sometimes there is a switch that happens. Prabhupada writes that Lord Ramachandra sometimes comes in as a red form, and sometimes he comes in the form of parrot green color, Shuka. So all such incarnations, Gargamuni tells them, have now all assembled in the body of Krishna. So your son is so beautiful, even before he was your son. So he's telling Nanda Maharaj, this child you had before already. He is also the son of Vasudev, he tells Nanda Maharaj. In his previous life, he was son of Vasudev. So in this life, he is also known as Vasudeva. And he tells Nanda Maharaj and the two mothers that they have taken on so many different forms and so many different names and demonstrated so many different transcendental qualities. And Gargamuni says, I know all those past incarnations of the Lord. General people may not know that the Lord comes for different purposes and in different forms and in different moods. He says, your son has come to give pleasure to the Vrajavasis. Therefore, he is all auspicious for you. And because of his presence, you will overcome all kinds of difficulties. So up until now, what were the parents thinking? Our son is being attacked by demon after demon after demon. And we have to protect him. Now they are being told that both their sons are actually personalities of Godhead. They have come as different avatars in different yugas. That is what the parents are being told. So, in essence, Gargamuni tells them, this child of yours is as good as Narayana. When you look at his transcendental qualities, when you look at his opulence that he's displaying, in his name, in his fame, and in his pastimes, he is exactly like Lord Narayana. And Gargamuni leaves them with an instruction. You please raise this child very carefully and cautiously. Imagine, after having told the parents, your children are great personalities, they're as good as Narayana. Now he's instructing the parent, take care of them very nicely. Raise them very nicely. So Nanda Maharaj was just floating in the sky. He was thinking, such good fortune has come to me and my wife, that the Lord himself has come. And after this particular ceremony happens, both the parents forget that the Lord is the Lord, right? Because the pastimes have to continue. If all they are thinking about is these two are the Supreme Lord, then they will not be able to have that parental love and affection for their children. They will always think that the Lord is the Supreme Lord. We have to worship them. So that is the power of Yoga Maya. Even though they had heard that their children were personalities of Godhead, shortly thereafter, they forget it. So the pastimes resume. So join us tomorrow. Now, after the naming ceremony is over, the mischief begins with both Krishna and Balaram.